According to a handful of reports out just today, they are now saying that multiple lawmakers are saying that Nancy Pelosi and Democrats are setting the United States up to fail. I want to address what this means, why they are doing this, and how some say this sets a terrible precedent. So again, we're going to address all this in today's video, and we're also going to talk about a bill that passed through the House of Representatives today and what this means moving forward. Now, here's what I can tell you. First off, I lied. There wasn't just one bill that passed through the House of Representatives. There were two bills. One of those bills will avert a railroad shutdown, a railroad strike. This was voted and passed. It was a bipartisan bill. It passed 290 to 137. Here's what I can tell you. We know that many Republicans voted in favor of this bill. They voted in support of the Democrats' bill. We know that 8 Democrats voted against it and 79 Republicans voted for it. This was, again, largely bipartisan. So here's what this bill did. The House passed a tentative, or pretty much a block, on a potential strike, which means they would force the railroad workers to accept the tentative agreement. Now, this means there'd be a 24% raise over the next 2 years. We'd see a $5,000 bonus over the next 5. They would also get 1 additional paid sick day. That is it. However, and here's where some are saying this sets a terrible precedent because of what's happening. But today, Nancy Pelosi and Democrats, they passed a bill that would include 7 days of paid sick time, okay? Paid sick leave. This would go to every single railroad worker. Now, again, currently they only get 1. This bill, however, passed mostly along party lines. There were 3 Republicans that voted for it, but the problem is there's many lawmakers, many senators that are not really for this. And Republicans don't want to include 7 days. They want to avert a railroad strike, but they don't want to include 7 days of paid sick leave. So that's turning into a major problem because as of right now, as of shooting this video, the Senate is currently discussing whether or not they pass the legislation passed over by the House. But here's something I can tell you. There's 3 main paths moving forward. First, and this is the most likely path, is that, and this is something that Senator Marco Rubio has mentioned multiple times, is the thing to do right now is to pass legislation to extend the negotiation period, to extend the cooling off period. That's what they want to do. They've done it before, they can do it again. Now, the reason why the lawmakers want to do this is because, for the first reason, the biggest reason, it would prevent a railroad strike, which would mean we don't see $2 billion per day of losses. We don't see railroads shut down, transportation doesn't shut down, fuel doesn't stop moving, all those things. But, again, this is the second reason. Congress doesn't want to get involved and doesn't want to force the railroad workers to accept the deal that was put in place by the unions, the railroads, and the workers. Or, well, technically, it was put together by the Presidential Committee. So that right there is the first path. The second path, which is the second likeliest option, is that Congress forces workers to accept the deal, to accept the 24% raise, to accept the $5,000 bonus, to accept the 1 additional paid sick day. That's the second option. Now, this is not what Congress wants. Congress does not want to do this because many do not agree that 1 paid sick day in addition is all that they deserve and should be required to get. Some are saying they should get a lot more. However, that's not the way the tentative agreement is currently written. And the final path, and possibly the worst possible path for the U.S. economy, is Congress does nothing. They step back. The Senate does not pass any legislation, and they let the strike happen as soon as December 9th. Obviously, this is the worst path moving forward, but some say this might be what it takes in order to get the railroads to give the workers exactly what they need and what they're asking for. But here's the worry moving forward. Remember when I said that multiple lawmakers are saying that Nancy Pelosi and Democrats are setting the United States up for a potential disaster, okay? They're going to set us up to fail. Here's why they're saying this. Here's what we've heard over the past couple of years. We obviously have heard about the railroad strikes, right? That's one of the biggest ones. We've heard about the truckers going on strike, not wanting to deliver goods, walking off the job, leaving the workforce altogether because they're tired of the way that they're being treated. We've heard about pilots considering a strike, and we've heard about dock workers and shipyard workers going on strike as well. All these people, the problem that we're having is that the ones that are represented by a union, again, and I don't want to bash unions, okay? I know they have their place, and some people live by them, that the best thing for you, but, and again, I don't want to bash them, but in the event, and in this case, in the event that we are going to see devastation to the U.S. economy, Congress and the president can come in and they can block it. No strike for you. You cannot go on strike. You legally cannot go on strike, right? I know a bunch of people are going to ask, well, what can they do? Are they going to lock us all in jail? I don't know. I honestly don't know what Congress would do. I don't know what President Biden would do. I have no idea, because that's not something that we want to see. Now, workers are now questioning whether or not they can take Congress seriously, because they don't know if they have their best interests at heart. Because all they're asking for is safety, for better health, right? Quality of life. And now Congress is going to force them to take and accept the tentative agreement that they didn't want to have, that they voted down in the first place. That's a problem. And now multiple lawmakers are calling this move by Nancy Pelosi and Democrats dangerous. And here's the reason why. If railroad workers are threatening a strike and Congress steps in to provide them with more paid sick days, more paid sick leave, this is going to set a terrible precedent, according to many. They say, what would stop pilots and dock workers from doing the exact same thing to get what they want? We've heard this before, that dock workers are tired of sitting there waiting to go to work. They are waiting because it's like, okay, you guys come to work. We need workers today. You go to work and it's like, sorry, there's already enough workers. You can go home. That's the issue. And so many people wanted just to have a set schedule. That's what they wanted. That's what they're fighting for. They wanted a set schedule. That was what they wanted. Now, again, lawmakers are now asking, well, this would set a terrible precedence. Even one ranking member of the House Transportation Committee, he said today, this is setting a terrible precedent. If Congress steps in, blocks a strike, but then also passes a bill, here you go. Here's an additional 7 days of paid sick leave. Again, what happens if pilots were to do this? If dock workers were to do this? Railroad workers do this? Again, does this mean that unions just don't have the power that they used to? Does this mean that Congress is going to decide who gets raises, who gets additional paid days off? It could be. And again, we don't know what's going to happen moving forward, but what I can tell you is this is going to change the way things are done. This will. Now, as soon as I get any more information, whether the Senate passes this bill, they block it, they don't pass it, they're trying to renegotiate, whatever it is, I promise I'll come back on and share all latest news and updates. I may do another video today, later on today, if the Senate does pass this bill. Otherwise, I'll do one tomorrow morning. So again, thank you guys for watching. Consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the next one.